Zootopia 2016 is an animated film from Walt Disney Animation Studios starring the amazing voices of Jennifer Goodwin as the ambitious Judy Hopps and Jason Bateman as the charismatic Nick Wilde. On the surface, the film is a fun, colorful story about a rookie police officer teaming up with a sly, street-smart fox to crack a citywide conspiracy. It's an exciting adventure with one simple moral. You can achieve anything you want if you work hard and believe in yourself. At least, that's the takeaway if you're a kid. Or if you just casually watch the movie without paying close attention to what's really hiding beneath the surface. In reality, the film explores themes of systemic bias, prejudice, and how fear and stereotypes can shape society. Zootopia, the city, is introduced as a harmonious place where predators and prey coexist, but it quickly becomes evident that deep-seated biases persist. Predators are perceived with suspicion and fear. For example, Nick Wilde is denied ice cream by an elephant vendor. Granted, Nick was practically drop-shipping ice cream and, committing fraud. Regardless, this interaction highlights how prejudice manifests in day-to-day life. Meanwhile, Judy Hopps faces skepticism and condescension throughout the entire police department because she's a rabbit. The first rabbit to become a police officer at that. She is initially forced to serve as a meter maid while her colleagues work on high-profile cases. Her frustration reflects the way systemic structures limit the opportunities of those deemed as, quote-unquote, less capable due to their identity. These societal pressures culminate in the central mystery, a series of predators suddenly going feral. As Nick and Judy investigate, they trace the conspiracy to Mayor Lionheart, who is ultimately arrested. And his assistant, Dawn Bellwether, is appointed as the new mayor. Bellwether, she is actually such an interesting figure. She's educated and capable, yet she is treated as a subservient aide simply because she's a sheep. During Judy's press conference following the resolution of the case, she tells the public that predators are naturally aggressive, effectively reinforcing societal biases despite, her good intentions. Her statement visibly upsets Nick Wilde.
What did I do wrong, you guys know? Please tell me, what did I do wrong? What did I do?
Underscoring how systemic bias can persist and harm individuals, even unintentionally. But then the plot twist of the century happens. Mayor Bellwether is revealed to be the true mastermind between the predators' sudden aggression. She created tranquilizer darts from night howler plants, which induce psychotropic effects that turn predators savage. Bellwether's motivation reveals a prey supremacist mindset.
But prey outnumber predators 10 to 1.
Basically, she believes prey should hold power over predators. And this ties back to the fact that she was underestimated and marginalized simply for being, a member of the prey population. Okay, so a lot of people had very, very low expectations for this film. And you know what? Sequels in particular rarely live up to the original, and many audiences assumed that Zootopia 2 would be no exception. However, much like its predecessor, Zootopia 2 delivers a compelling story while continuing to explore themes of systemic bias, prejudice, and social hierarchy. The film actually expands on the world of Zootopia by not just exploring, the typical predator-prey dynamics, but also the displacement and the erasure of marginalized communities, providing a sort of allegorical lens for issues like gentrification and social inequity. The anniversary celebrations, namely the gala, are hosted by the affluent Linksley family. Within this family, Popper is portrayed to be the least competent and is shown to be overshadowed by his siblings who follow in their father's footsteps. During the gala, an ancient book is unveiled, and this ancient book details the inner workings of, the weather walls, and it also kind of highlights the Linksleys' claim to, Zootopia legacy. Popper partners with Gary, a snake whose family originally authored the ancient book and patented the technology behind the weather walls. Together, they embark on a mission to recover the original missing page, It's the original patented page signed by Gary's grandmother. And this journey quickly reveals systemic inequities at play. Gary's family had historically contributed to Zootopia's development, but were erased from credit, mirroring the exclusion of marginalized groups in real-world histories. Furthermore, the reptiles have been forced to hide in practically unreachable places simply because Gary's grandmother was framed for murder by Linksley's grandfather, not just ruining her name, but also casting shame on her entire species. Judy Hopps' actions in the first film were kind of flawed. Honestly, it was just her press conference unintentionally reinforcing predator stereotypes, but her consistent moral compass drives her in Zootopia 2 to form an alliance with Gary and Poppert, righting, historical wrongs and revealing the true story behind Zootopia's construction. Nick Wilde, on the other hand, takes a quieter, more cautious approach. He recognizes that their actions are morally right, but extremely dangerous, and he even tells Judy something along the lines of, "I'm willing to fight for something, but I'm not willing to die for it." And while the danger is somewhat literal, because, Milton and the authorities are literally following them, the risk is also figurative, and it reflects the real world stakes of challenging entrenched power structures and systemic inequities. Nick also admits to having an aversion to reptiles, but he doesn't mean fear. And his actions clearly do not reflect terror. Rather, he simply just lacks the knowledge about them. And this unfamiliarity is understandable given the fact that the Linksleys have controlled the narrative around reptiles' historical contributions to Zootopia for who knows how long. And, they've gone as far as to, erase their role and shape their public perception. And okay, yes, in the end, the Linksleys are exposed for faking their claims and are thrown in jail, but their historical involvement in Zootopia still kind of remains ingrained. And honestly, I feel like it's kind of unlikely that the city's citizens will suddenly change how they treat reptilian species, considering the fact that they have been sort of exiled for 100 years at least. And the after credits scene of Zootopia 2 offers a subtle yet very intriguing hint at the franchise's future direction. We see a single feather drift onto Judy Hopps' windowsill, and, birds are known for migration and moving across borders, which could symbolically suggest that the next film may explore themes of either immigration, migration, or, most likely the challenges a city faces when new populations are introduced. Either way, the Zootopia films go far beyond their colorful, family-friendly surfaces, tackling complex themes of systemic bias, prejudice, and social inequity. They examine how entrenched power structures, historical erasures, and societal assumptions shape the experiences of marginalized communities. Judy Hopps' unwavering moral compass and courage paired with Nick's cautious pragmatism, demonstrate the risks and the necessity of challenging injustice. This combination of adventure, morality, and social critique ensures that, the franchise remains compelling not just for children, but also for a more, mature audience, aka the parents of the kids who wanted to watch the movie.